Okay, since some of you wanted some more basic lessons before I go to the coffee shop to do my brainstorming for the day, I'll do another basic lesson, I guess. And this one will be like all over the place, so sorry if it's all over the place, but it is. So let's look at making a really simple scene in Cinema 4D, like what you need. So if you go here in the scene menu, you can find all this common stuff like a camera, light, a floor. I don't ever use skies, but you have skies, whatever. So let's just go ahead and put a floor in there. So what this does, or maybe I should show you first, yeah. Okay, so if we just render this, it's just black, like it's the abyss, it's nothingness. It's like, you know, what's in the center of my pure closet goth heart. Um, but if we want to get some perspective and some shadows on the, going on, then we'll just put a floor in here. So now there's a floor, but it's just boring, right? It's just you can't see any perspective or any depth because there's no lights in here. So let's go, but before we put a light, let's put a camera. So go into this menu and just put a regular camera. And when you do that, nothing happens, and it's because you have to select the camera as the active object. So go up here to camera. Now we're looking through the camera. It looks the same, so you're saying like, why would I want to do that, right? Why wouldn't I just use the default camera that's already in there? The reason is that you can't change the focal length on that default camera on the fly or do all this cool stuff. So if you click on the camera up here, you see our settings. And when I first got into 3D, I had never shot with like a digital SLR camera or real camera, so I had no understanding of focal lengths. And then once I got a real digital SLR, I started understanding focal lengths and what stuff should look like, and it really helped my imagery. So I recommend you going out and shooting with a real camera. So now it's a wide-angle lens, an 18, which would be like a fisheye or something like that. So you can see now you get some kind of perspective lines, going towards the vanishing point. It's not there. So let's go ahead and just put a cube in the scene. Right, so now if we click render, there's just a cube in the boring grayness, right? So how do we make this more interesting? Okay, let's add a light. And if we click and hold, you can see, oh, now we have a light with, some kind of shadows. And by default, when you just make a light like that, it's an omni light, but I believe in using spotlights because those are like real lights. Go ahead and turn the shadow on, and again, tint the light a little bit with the color of your choice, depending on what you're going for. Whereas, blue is cold, red, or the other warm color. So since I'm cold, I have no heart. I'm totally frozen and cold inside. I like using blue lights. So just like I showed you in the other one, we click on the light. I want to look through the light. That's the best way to position them, I think. So link active object, and now just navigate like you're navigating any other way. And now we're looking through the light here, and if we go back up here, switch to this view, you can see that now, and if your card supports it, I always use the OpenGL, the enhanced OpenGL. It works a lot better. So now if we render this, now we have a little cube there with the shadow, which is a little better, right? Now you're saying, so that's all I need is that one light. But no. If you study lighting, I had my friend who helped me out with like lighting when I got into 3D, and then I read a bunch of books. You want to use a 3-point lighting rig, and it's just like in real life, and this is what I put on all my stuff. So your main light, which usually comes, it's not straight on to the front of your object, it's usually off to the side a little bit. So like this one, let's see, like, let's say that's our key. And that's just to illuminate most of the front of the object. So let's go and call this our key light. So that's the main light, and that's usually going to be the strongest light. So you can adjust the lighting power here. So let's just leave that one at 100. So that's our key light, right? And then, but as you can see here, let's go back to 1. Our ideal is to get some kind of depth going on here. I know it is 3D, so you're saying, oh, there already is depth, like it's in 3D. But, to really pop this object out, because it still kind of looks 2D, because of the shadow. So what we want to add is a fill light, which fills in some of the shadow to give it a little bit more depth. So I always, if you hold down Control or the Alt key on PC and drag an object, see a little plus shows up? So it duplicates it. Let's just make it once. Oops, make the 3 of them. So let's change this one to fill. Okay, so this is going to be our fill light. And this one, try just by default making it half the strength of the other one, and then maybe make it a warmer color, just a little bit different color, and go back to our 5 views. Now we want to make sure fill selected, and then let's go look through the fill light. So, and then what we want to do is fill in the shadow a little bit that's being caused by our key light. So if you look up here, you know, it updates in this view, so you can see that some of the shadows being filled in with a different color. And let's turn the intensity down a little bit, like that. So if we go back here, now you can see that it's been filled in and it looks a little bit more 3D, right, with our 2 lights. But it's 3-point lighting, so our third one is a backlight, which is sometimes hard to do in 3D depending on your materials, because you don't see, you know, if something's real, it has little hairs and little stuff like sticking off of it, so you can see it in real life, but it's kind of hard in 3D. But for, you know, just for good practice or whatever, I just do it anyway. All the time I do my 3-point rig. So then the backlight is, you know, as its name implies, it illuminates the object from the back. And you can also do this if you want to pivot on your object. Click your object, and then the light will pivot around that object. So, and then the backlight, I usually make the same, around the same color as the key, and then just make it super bright anyway. So if your object has any cool edges, and then you might want to go up to the top. It's not going to really work with the square because there's nothing to catch the light. So there's our square illuminated. Oh yeah, and with shadows. See how it has these 3 shadows? What I would do, I go turn the shadow off for the backlight, and then even sometimes, depending on how it looks, for the fill light too. That's okay, it's not bad. But see, it's cool in 3D because you control everything. So wait, maybe we should look at this bigger since it's such a small screen. So there, it looks more 3D with our 3-point rig, right? So if we switch to a view from above, you can see our 3 lights here, right? So just so you don't have to create this in every scene, you can, if you shift click on all these objects, or you can just lasso them. And then on a PC, it's Alt G. On a Mac, I think it's Option G. And then it takes all those objects and puts them into a new null object. Null objects are really cool. So I'm going to rename this 3-point light rig, right? So now, and then you see this is where the axis is, but we want to put it in the middle so we can like move this thing around and spin it and stuff around our object. So here's our object. So how about we go to the axis tool and then move the axis to the center. So then now if we want to reposition our light rig, we just, wait, can I do it in here? You can see we can just go like this now. So, and you can save these objects out. You can save a new scene, so that if you want to save this out, just copy it and then go new and then paste it. So now we have this 3-point rig, and then just save it out, save as, can't save in the demo, but save as 3-point rig, and then you can reuse that in other scenes forever. That's what I do. I have a whole library of stuff that I constantly reuse. So there's just a little thing on 3-point lighting. So you should do that for your characters. And then what my friend taught me that I do now is like any important object in the scene, put a 3-point rig around it, like, you know, a tree or a pole, whatever that you want the viewer's eyes to be on. Put a 3-point rig to really get it to pop out of the scene. It is 3D, but you still need to pay attention to lighting a lot. So what else do we want to look at? Let's go ahead and shift into our one view. So let's see, what do we have here? Blah, blah, blah. Splines? No, we won't do that yet. Okay, the hypernurbs thing. So let's take this cube over here. And I don't use these much because, you know, I like blocky looking stuff. But they're handy for modeling. Make the cube editable by pressing C. So, and I'm just going to press D and extrude and then scale this down and then, oops. Then extrude that up. and then go through here. Oh, I know what I'll show you after this. I'll show you the symmetry object. So, and then I'm going to pull these down and like, do whatever, rotate that, something. Right, but you can see it's extremely like blocky, obviously, because there's not many polygons. Which this look, it's something that I like myself just because it keeps things simple. But if you want to smooth things out, a cool way to work is that Cinema 4D has this hypernurbs object right here. So if you click it, it puts in the scene, nothing happens. But just get your polygonal object, your polygon object, and drop it in there. So this is what we have right now. And then you drop it in there, and then now, as you can see, everything's rounded. And you can control how much it rounds stuff off here in the hypernerve setting. But be careful, because if you put it too high, you can slow stuff down. But now you can see, now we have some kind of like organic looking structure here. And we still have the same number of polygons, but now it's totally like organic. And then we can go in here and model and keep doing what we're doing. But now it's, it's all rounded off and smooth. So for a character, you could do a head, and it's at its polygon state, it'll look all blocky, and then you drop here on the hypernurbs. So, and you can always take the cube out, and it goes back to its normal thing. So you can put any polygonal object in there, and you might do something like, make a cube, and then try to put it in there, and you can see it turns into a circle, and then make it editable. And you can pull the stuff out. And if you want to mix stuff, just for your notes, if you want to put like a sharper edge on a hypernurbs object, just hold down the period key and drag to the left or right. Drag to the right while you're using these. So then it weights the points, I think it's called, whatever. But that's how you get these hard edges. So you just click on a polygon and then hold down the period key and drag to the right. And then so you can mix the two. So that should allow you, and you just remember, you can go into different modes still. So you can model stuff by pulling edges, by pulling points. You can pull multiple points at the same time, and you can scale them. So remember the ERT, the move. E is move, R is rotation, T is scale, and you can do that to an edge, a polygon, or a point. So you can make cool stuff like that. Oh yeah, the symmetry object. So this is another cool thing that helps you model and stuff. So let's get a cube. Let's press C to make it editable. Let's go into our 5 views and look from the front. Press F4 to go over here. So now I'm going to press K. Let's go into polygon mode first, sorry. Then I'm going to press K, which goes in the knife tool. So you see these settings come up. And then just try this. Go, don't restrict to selection, and don't do visible only. So that means it's going to cut through everything. So then get your knife tool and just make a line right down the center. And then let it go. So now we have 2 halves. Switch into point mode, and then go up here and get your selection box. Same thing, say turn off only select visible elements. And then we're going to delete 1/2 of this cube. So now we just have like this box right here, right? This is good for modeling characters or just something that you want the same stuff on both sides. So then we're going to go up here to symmetry, okay, and then get the cube and then drop it in the symmetry object. Drop it in the symmetry object. So now you see we have a whole cube again. And you might want to go and change the setting to like 1, so it's going to fuse anything from 1. If it doesn't work right, if nothing happens, try changing these mirror planes. So now, if we go back into this cube, turn on polygons, and just do the same crap we were doing, nothing's happening. Or is it? As you can see now, the same thing's happening to both sides. So you can use your imagination as to what this would be helpful for. But yeah, so it does like half the work for you, right? See, I'm already making some kind of robot dude head. Then you can use that knife tool to cut this stuff up. But usually you want to turn on visible only because you might cut like a backside or something. So let's just say, let's make a knife. Oops. Let's make a knife cut right there, and then one right there, and then one right there. So as you can see what I'm going to do, you can get an idea of like where to make cuts. And again, I'm not like some dope modeler guy or something. I just, know enough. Oops, let's get out of the knife tool. And then let's press I and do an inner thing, and then press D to come out, and then I again, and then D. Right? So now we have some kind of eyes there. And then actually, I want to make another cut there. So press K to go back to the knife tool. And then, wait, no, I don't want to do that. Will you cut this? Okay, that's good. So let's go back here, go back to our move, polygon tool. And then I want to make a mouth. So let's pull this out. And then, do I want to preserve groups? Yes, I do. Okay, I'm going to go like this. I'm going to press the E key, and then I'm going to move it over to the center. This is probably not what you're supposed to do, but let's see what happens. Oh, see, put a little gap in there. See this little plane right here? But then we just click it and delete it, I think. Did that do anything wrong? Wait, oh, there's two sides to it. Okay, so now there's like a head, right? Yeah, so here's like some super simple robot head. And then just like, everything in life, you're supposed to like bevel it. Wait, don't bevel everything in life, but. So now here's like this robot head, right? So another super easy thing with texturing, because remember I showed you how to make a texture. So you'll be like, okay, I want this robot to have a dark, or let's see, like pink head, right? We want him to have a pink head, but then you're like, I want his eyes to be different colors and his mouth to be different colors. So this is how you do that. Go into polygon mode, and then select a polygon or a polygon selection that you want to change. So I selected the eye because I want that to be a different color. I want to apply a different color to this. So then go up to selection, set selection, and then here's your polygon selection, then rename it. Let's call it eye. Oops. Okay. And then I'll show you how we're going to do that after. And then let's just say we want like robot lipstick, right? Same thing. Set selection, and then change the name to lips, right? That's right. And then we're going to go create two new materials. One for the eye, we'll make it yellow, yeah. And then one for the mouth or the lips outline, we'll just make black. Okay, so how do you do this? So all you do, drag and drop it onto your object, and then, oh my god, it's all yellow, and then, what's the name of my selection? No, I only want this on the eye. So then click on the texture over here, and then you see this box, selection. So then just type I, press return, and then there you go. And the pink will still be here, don't worry. Same thing with this one, so drag and drop this on. And then, what's the name of our selection? Okay, lips. Go back here, selection, lips. And then now if we click off the guy, there you go. Now you have a robot head with colored eyes. We can do the same thing anywhere you want. You can do this stuff. So I like using. There's a lot of tools in Cinema 4D. If you don't abuse them, but you use them creatively, like the matrix extrude. Look, I just pressed that, and now the dude has horns, which is kind of cool. And then you can go up here and shift select a bunch of polygons, and then do it again, and then now all of a sudden this dude has a crown, and then go around here and inner extrude or inner whatever that's called in there, and then go back. Let's see what other tools are. Matrix extrude. There's all these cool tools you can use, but let's matrix extrude that again. Oh my god. Yeah, I meant to do that. I accidentally selected all the polygons. Okay, so. Oh, and in the matrix extrude, you can change all these parameters. So right now, see it's rotating on the X. But let's see if I want to rotate on the Y. Now these things are moving up. So I don't know. That should give you an idea of just how to make stuff in here, right? So, and then go, put your 3-point lighting rig on this dude and build him a body and do stuff. Let's get his head looking like that. But this is how, it's not that complicated if you plan ahead and if you're not trying to make, I don't know how to do photorealistic, super ultimate, hyper 3D, but I'm not interested in that anyway. But to use it for fun stuff like this, it's totally easy. And then, yeah, so let's see, what else can I throw in here? So you know how to do lights. Okay, what if you wanted to make a row of these heads? Cinema 4D has these really cool like pre-made objects. So like an array, if you just drop something in an array, oh my god, there's like, they turn into an onion. But you go here and change the radius. You can see, so it's a bunch of copies of this head. Right, they're looking at each other and change the number of copies. There's a bunch of them. So this is a really easy way to make a carousel. Change the amplitude. Now you got all this going on. And anytime in Cinema 4D, let me show you something. You probably can't see it in this low res, but when you see a little dot next to something, that means that you can animate it. So, like this amplitude thing. So if we're in time 0. Then you control click these dots, and then they turn red. So that means you set a keyframe. So if we go from there, and then let's change it to that, just because. And then if we go in here and play it back, you'll see now that these are animating. So that's how you can animate stuff, and then when you want to look at your keyframes, anything that's animated, like an object or a parameter, like this, just right click on it, or control click on it, and go to animation, and then show tracks. So then this shows your keyframes. This is a little more complicated, and you also have your F curves, if you know what those are. But I'll get into that later. But I think this video is long enough, and hopefully there was something useful in here, because it's like 7 o'clock, so I have to go now. But I'll keep making these, so just let me know what you want me to go over, what helps. So until next time, your pal, I'm Strange, saying bye-bye.